I said that a muscle fiber is really just a muscle cell. And then those muscle fibers are, now we're going smaller. We went bigger, now we're going smaller, and then the cell are made of those myofibrils. It has have the other organelles. It's got mitochondria. Your muscles have lots and lots of mitochondria. It's got the nucleus, etc. But it's also got these myofibrils, and these myofibrils are made up of two proteins. We think of them as just these two, but honestly the thin filament has a couple more. But the thick filament is mostly myosin, and the thin filament is mostly actin. These are the two main proteins in those little filaments that make up the myofibril. These two together make the myofibrils. And then just as all cells have a cell membrane or plasma membrane, the muscles also. Sarco means flesh, so for some reason the sarcolemma, remember the plasma membrane looks like that? And it's got those protein things on it. So on a muscle, the cell membrane of a muscle is called a sarcolemma. And we left off at the neuron firing onto a muscle cell and opening some sort of ligand gate. So that's where we're going to pick up the story on Thursday. We're going to pick up on the sarcolemma of the muscle at one of those protein gates there. So why can't they just say cell membrane? Because they just wanted to be specific about that is. So if you see sarco, you always know, oh, we're talking about something with muscle. So just as cells have cytoplasm, in a muscle cell it's called the sarcoplasm. So sarcoplasm is just the cytoplasm of the muscle. Okay, so why can't we just call it cytoplasm? Because we got to make things confusing. So sarcoplasm. So we're going to be talking about the stuff inside the cell. We'll talk about things moving throughout the sarcoplasm. You don't just think, oh, that's the cytoplasm. The interstitial fluid, plasmic reticulum. Remember, there's a smooth ER and the rough ER. Inside a muscle, it is an endoplasmic reticulum, but it's called sarcoplasmic reticulum. And we are going to be calling that for short the SR, because sarcoplasm, just like we used to say ER, so we're going to call it the SR. And basically, the SR surrounds the myofibrils. It's going to run parallel to it, and there's a bunch of them. And the big thing I would like you to know about the sarcoplasmic reticulum is that it stores calcium ions. That's going to be huge. I want you to think of this as like a jail for calcium. I use the analogy of jail because you'll understand when we do what's going to happen. So basically, calcium is stored inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum. And just as most people in jail would like to get out, the calcium actually would like to get out too. But it's behind some locked doors. So we're going to be talking about that, how they're going to get out of that locked jail in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. And then we have these things called transverse tubules, also referred to as T-tubules. And they're going to actually be part of I've got a pretty picture in a moment, but they're going to be part of the sarcolemma, which is what? The cell membrane. And they are like tunnels that go from the sarcolemma down into the sarcoplasm, to the cell membrane, or cytoplasm. I have an analogy for this. Some of you won't get it because some of you don't cook and stuff. Anyone online know what a poke cake is?
Yeah.
So a poke cake, basically you have a cake, it's flat, and you just poke down into it. You just take a spoon, poke down into it, and then you could pour stuff down into it, chocolate or whatever, and it will drip down into the cake. So the T-tubules are like that. They're like little pokes in the cell membrane. Okay, so that's what a T-tubule, they're important. Okay, they're little tubes that are kind of poked down into the sarcolemma, which is the cell membrane. I have a picture. So they're called transverse tubules or T-tubules. So here's a really pretty picture. I love this picture, and we'll be referring back to this picture. So the top here that we're looking at is this little sarcolemma, these little lipid bilayer. Y'all remember those? That's gone. So that's what's really there. This is the T-tubule. It basically is like a tunnel. I would use my dig dug analogy again, but again, some of you don't know dig dug. It's like the little dig dug analogy there. Okay, see the blue guy here? That is the sarcoplasmic reticula. What's inside there? Calcium. Calcium is inside this blue guy.